earthquake and tsunami in Japan devastated the island nation. Thousands are dead, whole communities washed away. And now a new danger looms: nuclear meltdown. Many Japanese are panicked.
This man told us nobody is telling us, the citizens, what is really happening.
What, by strong accounts, has happened is this. Multiple reactors at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant have malfunctioned, with radiation leaking as a result. Japan's prime minister said on national television that radiation levels seem very high, and Japan's chief government spokesman added this.
Now we are talking about levels that can impact human health.
Government authorities urge those close to the reactor sites to stay indoors. As this new nightmare unfolds in Japan, nuclear industry representatives and government officials in the U.S. are offering assurances that nuclear power is safe. U.S. Energy Secretary Stephen Chu.
American people should have full confidence that the United States has rigorous safety regulations in place to ensure that our nuclear power is generated safely and responsibly.
But industry watchdogs say that simply is not so. They concede safety has improved at nuclear power plants in recent years, but say Americans should still prepare for the worst.
Obviously, the Japanese, the most prepared for earthquakes and tsunamis of any country in the world, underestimated the potential for a 9.0 earthquake. Obviously, there has to be a reappraisal of safety risks.
Kevin Camps of the radioactive waste watchdog group Beyond Nuclear opposes license extensions at more than 20 nuclear power plants in the U.S.
Fukushima Unit 1 at the Daiichi plant was a 40-year-old reactor. It was the first one to go into crisis. We have 23 reactors in the United States of the very same design.
And Arjun Makajani of the Institute for Energy and Environmental Research wants a thorough reevaluation of U.S. nuclear power plants in coastal areas and along seismic fault lines. He also wants to know who will pay for a cleanup if a nuclear disaster occurs.
The nuclear industry is not required even to cover more than $11 billion in costs. And at a time when we're saying, well, how are we going to minimize government exposure and so on, this is an item that should be put back on the table.
Makajani says it could cost hundreds of billions of dollars. He'd like to see nuclear energy phased out over time.
Making plutonium and fission products which last for tens of thousands of years or millions of years just to boil water isn't sensible. We can do it much better. We can do it much more cleanly.
Since the earthquake and tsunami in Japan, authorities there have scrambled to cool the core of reactors with seawater. But the water appears to be evaporating more quickly than it can be pumped in. Laurel, Bowman, VOA News, Washington.